Hello, everyone. Morning, evening, afternoon. It doesn't matter. We're so happy you're here. Our first webinar for this year. I'm very excited. I have now the title MC. I've never been called MC in my life, but that's it. Now here today in at Flow. I'm actually the interim revenue manager. So I help. I'm helping at Flow SEO with everything marketing and sales. And today I'm going to guide you through the webinar. And when I'm not emceeing, I also have a little podcast called the Sales Marketing Therapy. And then I want to introduce our lovely speaker number one, Helene. Helene is our director of SEO, and I'm very sure you know her and you know her content on LinkedIn. I always want to say that she is the data nerd, but that's not all that she is. She loves to work with data, I know that, but she's also so strong at getting those strategies and insights out of them and really explaining them in a way that everybody can understand. She has spoken at so many conferences. I'm not going to name all of them. And we're very happy that you're going to share your wisdom with us today, Helene.
Thank you.
And second speaker, also you know her, our founder, Viola. She's currently in Bangkok. This is why she's not wearing a shirt. I'm very jealous of your heat. And she is an entrepreneur, as you know. She's working as a mindful marketer, and with her agency, we are helping B2B SaaS companies and also professional services to grow, get more visibility, get more growth from SEO, from paid, and from content. Also, she spoke at so many events you can see there, and this list is going to grow this year as well. So, what are we doing today? We have a lot in with us. First, we're going to set the stage a little bit. So, talking a little bit what has been going on over the course of the last months, maybe even years. You know, everybody's talking about AI. We're going to explain a little bit what we are currently seeing out there, and then we're going to leave this part and actually talk about what does this mean for us? What can we do as marketers out there? How can we actually leverage AI to get more visibility in SEO through our content? And then we want to dig even deeper and show you some case studies so that you can see how other companies are leveraging and using this and how they do what they do to grow. And lastly, this should not only be a one-sided conversation. Please, if you have questions, add them to our chat. I will have a look at it constantly, and we're gonna try to answer all of your questions. So that you get the most out of this hour that we have together. With that said, let's kick it off.
Okay, realize I'm first. First to speak, we're going to talk about AI's impact on B2B search and content. Can't really do that without thinking about the timeline. When we're looking at the last 2 years or so, it has been wild. It's been wild for search, it's been wild for AI, it's been wild for marketers. End of 2022, 2023, we saw the launch of ChatGPT, the testing of AI overview, and sort of the early stages of this AI. And a lot of us were thinking, how can we use AI to be better marketers, to be more efficient? And how can we use these tools just to make us better at our job? Well, 2024, everything got really, really shook up. ChatGPT with Search, or also called Search GPT, launched. It has the option to become your default search engine. It's quite powerful. We've also seen here at Flow that traffic from ChatGPT or other AI platforms have definitely taken off since that happened. And then it's become more and more apparent that this is a growing attribution, or not growing as, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the word, a growing channel for traffic. And then, so at the same time, while this was happening with OpenAI and ChatGPT, Google had launched AI Overview, pretty much across most of the world, except for us in the EU. We don't really get to see it that much. I do hear that it pops up now and then, but due to a lot of the privacy laws and regulations here, not really seeing it much. But if you are marketing, you know, say English-speaking countries, definitely you have AI overview. By the end of the year, Google published a white paper on AI agents and announced its Project Mariner. And just recently, OpenAI this year launched their operator. And so there's definitely some AI agents going on. There's a lot of different ways that AI is being used by marketers, by SEOs, and also how AI is disrupting search. Also, we're probably going to see Google release their AI mode. It's currently in testing. I imagine you probably see that in the US first. To be honest, from the screenshots, AI mode just looks like ChatGPT, just built right into Google search. And so we're definitely a little nervous about this to see what will happen. But that's why we're kind of staying on top of what's going on, seeing what we can measure, seeing what we can do, and sharing that with everyone.
Nice. So I think the big question with all of that is, I think there's so many things happening at the same time that one of the big questions is like, how does this affect us as B2B marketer, B2B SaaS marketers? And I think there's a lot of talk also, you've seen it, right? Search is dead, SEO is dead, and all of these things. And as I think about it is, I think what's really is dead is this idea that search results need to be a prioritized list. And what I mean by that is you type something onto Google and then you had this list of results, and it was kind of on us to click through these results, read through the articles, find the right answer. And that principle of a kind of like prioritized list, we don't just have that on Google, we have that on YouTube, we have that on booking.com, we have that on Amazon. And so I think that idea that this is the best way to return a search results is currently being really challenged. And instead, right, getting a cohesive answer. But on a practical note, I think we will see a decrease in organic click-through rate to the classic position one, right? What used to be kind of like position one has already been challenged by ads, featured snippets, knowledge panels, and these sort of things. But now there's an even bigger AI overview on the top of Google. And so even if you would remain organic position one, there's a chance of decreased click-through rate. And in ChatGPT, Search, Perplexity, and these sort of tools, there is also a chance that because they're so conversational and they give such a detailed answer, there might not even be a necessity to come to the website after it, depending on the type of search. Secondly, next slide, please. We like the idea is that for many decades, when we talked about search, we talked about Googling, we're Googling things. And so this is really like diversifying. And so I thought two statistics here are interesting. One is Statista is just in general, US respondents said that already last year, 17% of them reported preferring a chatbot style answer over traditional search engines. And we can only expect that number to grow. This is just like the general population and how they feel about these chatbot type answers. What I thought was more interesting, much smaller sample size, but Winter, who is a B2B messaging testing tool, did a study with, I think, 100 or so B2B SaaS CMOs and asked, if you're buying more tech software, how do you find a new vendor? And they said that 51% start on Google, but 24% of them already directly start on ChatGPT and Perplexity and not Google. But in general, I think the other message is people don't just trust a single source of research to make that kind of decision. 84% of buyers will use multiple channels in parallel. So Google and ChatGPT and Perplexity. And I suppose the message is, if your audience is searching there, you kind of want to be there. Next. So Helene pointed out this chart to me, and I think she and I are both very jealous that Sierra Interactive had a way to visualize this so neatly, and I really wish this could have been us. But this slide I really like, which is the question, if search behavior is changing and people are searching in new places, how can we start appearing in these new places? And what's our opportunity to influence these results? And we can see that for example, for Claude, which mainly works with its training data set, we have a dependence on what is in there and when that's getting updated. And if we're not part of that, it might not be as straightforward to be included in that. On the other hand, there is Perplexity or Google's AI overview that feed directly off search data. And we know a lot of stuff already about search. And while being successful in organic search doesn't necessarily equate being successful in Perplexity and Google's AI overview, there's a lot of things that we already know about how the classic search engines behave and what we can do to influence them. So there's also a way we can start working on Perplexity or Google's AI overview. And then a ChatGPT and a Gemini is kind of like the one in the middle, the half training data, half search data. And so our ability to influence also depends on the AI model or AI chatbot that we're looking to gain visibility in. And then next. So over the course of this webinar, we're going to walk you through varying sets of data where we've done research, understanding how much of this is really happening, how much traffic is really coming to these pages, what type of queries. And one thing that I first published in December last year, just before Christmas, is this idea is like, what does that mean for B2B SaaS? And so I said, okay, let's just look at the 20 B2B SaaS that currently are our clients and that we have access to their analytics and see on average, how did referral traffic from LLMs and AI chatbots for them develop over the last 12 months. So what I mean by that, this is a measurement of GA4. And so that means someone would have read about us, for example, on ChatGPT, was so excited that they clicked on the link, came to the website, and then GA4 recorded that session, right? And so for 20 B2B SaaS, we said like, oh, how did that actually behave? And we can see most of them actually had very little traction and very little referral traffic for most of the beginning of 2024. And so whilst the media and LinkedIn and everyone is talking about how everything is changing, et cetera, like beginning 2024, we didn't really see that yet. And it's only over the course of the summer that things are really starting to pick up. And now we actually see very, very steep growth month over month since kind of like July, August, September. And this got even more accelerated with the ChatGPT search launch in October. The only reason why we have that little like lump at the end of the chart is because that was December, and December is a holiday month in general, tends to be a slower month for B2B. Otherwise, I think that thing would have just kept going up and not had that little lump in December. The other thing you can see that kind of like on the vertical axis, the total number of sessions that our clients are getting on average is actually still quite low. Practically speaking, is that it currently only makes 1% of their search traffic. So like 99% of their search traffic is still coming from Google and Bing, maybe 95% from Google, and between 5 and 10% from Bing, and then 1% from LLMs. But I think that shouldn't, the fact that it's 1% today doesn't say nothing about it being 1% tomorrow. But I did want to share this as if you're feeling like, oh God, I'm not getting as many referral sessions as I should be seeing, as everyone else getting thousands and thousands and thousands. If you're a startup, there is a chance that your chart actually looks quite similar to this. And we will also share the dashboard that will allow you to track this for your own website and kind of like see where you're at. Actually, I might pop that in the chat next time I'm not talking, and then you might be able to pop your data in there right now and respond to us in the chat as to whether you're seeing that same curve or not for your own website.
I can do that right now. So, yeah.
Perfect. And then the other question is, okay, this is a very selected type of people, right? They're very interesting, they're reading, they're engaging, they're clicking, and we've actually seen really good conversion rates. So this is a screenshot from the dashboard that you'll receive. And in there, we track key events. So these are usually the things that you mark as your most important conversions in GA4. And we did notice that that traffic from LLM, whilst it's low in volume, converts at an average conversion rate at 2.3, which across all content types, I would consider that a very strong conversion rate. Obviously, better on product pages and that kind of stuff. And also notable, people get demo requests and meetings and product page visits for these as well. And so, yeah, I'm curious to see how that looks like for all of you.
Cool. I love that. And as we see AI taking off, through ChatGPT, we also see AI overview taking off. Last year in June, it was like a month or so after AI overview had launched, we looked at the likelihood of AI overview appearing for a set of keywords. It was about 5,000 keywords, like I mentioned, HR, workforce management space. And then we decided, let's break this down. Let's see, you know, bottom of funnel, comparative. So looking at like best tools, best this, best that, templates, calculators, top of funnel, and looking as an industry, how is AI overview appearing? Last year, we had really actually great numbers and we were excited. Top of funnel was showing about 20, you know, about just over 20%, whereas bottom of funnel was about 4 or 5%. And now it has increased 300% since June of last year. And so we are definitely seeing a lot more AI overview appearing in those areas where AI overview is available. And so bottom of funnel has gone up 39% of the time, comparative. A lot. There was a lot that it's gone up. And so we're definitely seeing there that it's about 50% of traffic is now seeing an AI overview. And that's big. While we do have a very interesting nugget in here that template and calculator keywords have an incredibly low appearance of AI overview. It's only 5% of the time. While that seems like a very interesting space that you can capitalize on now, definitely know that AI has the capability to replicate your templates and calculators, and it's a matter of time before we're going to see, you know, custom-made programs appearing in an AI overview. If you've played around with AI, you'll know that's quite easy to generate. So it might be a matter of time, but for right now, I would say try to focus on those, you know, get them some more visibility. They're not being captured by AI overview, but definitely diversification would be my biggest takeaway, is that AI overview's here. It stole your traffic. It's not going to give it back. It's never going to give it back. And that it's time to diversify that. We can see the numbers here a bit more specific. So yeah, 52% for all of our keywords. At the end, it was about 4,000 keywords cleaned up comparing year over year. That's a major jump. And so AI overview is here. It's here to stay. Hopefully AI mode doesn't come anytime soon, because that will bring even more AI to Google that is going to keep users on their site rather than clicking to your site. So I know we're going to talk about this a bit more later, but thinking about that originality, how can you create something that AI cannot? Because AI can take your visibility, can take your traffic, or it can also help you. So we'll talk about that as well when we get more into this. I did want to highlight, I'm very, very curious on what determined bottom of funnel keywords to have AI overview in 2024 versus 2025. Like what made Google decide that these keywords are now going to have an AI overview, whereas they didn't before? There is no clear pattern yet. I am bashing my head against the wall. If anyone has any theories for me to investigate, I would love it. Please drop it in the chat. This is an example of keywords that had that were new to AI overview. So payroll software, learning management system, asset management software, very big, very popular keywords. But on the other side, you'll see that AI overview never appeared for keywords like inventory management software, which I would say is almost, you know, that's very close to an asset management software. Usually a lot of companies would be doing both of those. So whereas you'll see one of your keywords maybe has an AI overview, the other one doesn't. And it's so really thinking about those topics and that there's no clear pattern yet. There's a lot of volatility inside search, especially for these bottom of funnel queries, which probably could give an entire webinar on about how much it's changed and how less we're seeing those review sites, how important listicles have become, and how now you're actually able to see startup and SaaS brands ranking for these keywords. So you're going to see product pages, you're going to see home pages, whereas before it was just like Gartner's top 10 taking over every single result. So as a heads up, keep an eye out there. Bottom of funnel keywords, lots of movement, lots of opportunities are still available. And it's still quite low for appearance of AI overview. So we have more of a chance of having those organic links higher up on the page. I don't know if you wanted to add something to that. Sorry, Viola.
I wanted to ask actually everyone in the room here. I see 5 or 6 of you are already hanging out in the LLM dashboard. And so I was just wanted to see if anyone has any insights already, seeing either, hey, Google AI overview is all of a sudden showing up for all of my queries, or it's never showing up for my queries, or hey, ChatGPT is exploding for me or not. So yeah, would love feedback. If you have any thoughts to share, pop them into the chat, or also feel free to unmute yourself for a second. But yeah, I'm very, we have like almost 40 very intelligent, talented marketers here, and I would love to hear from the room for what you're seeing. Yeah, but in the meantime, I'm happy to carry on.
I just had a question. So, if I'm audible.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I'm Ramya. I'm the product marketer / content strategist at EZO. I was really sort of surprised to see that you guys did have asset management software in the Google's AI overview list, because that's exactly what our company does. We have an asset management software. What my question is, have you guys noticed any differences in sort of search or crawling behaviors for how Google Gemini or ChatGPT, how do they crawl the different websites? What's their search pattern or behavior to rank or just to list or hyperlink, certain websites onto their answers? Like, is there a stark difference in how the two operate, or is there more commonality?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I would say there definitely are similarities between them. I would say that AI overview being connected to search like Google has a ranking mechanism. It's something that's important to think about, whereas LLMs, AI platforms do not have a ranking mechanism. It's not built into their algorithm. We'll definitely be sharing some stuff about this, about crawling. I know I have some slides coming up about this to maybe answer a bit more specifically. But there is a slight difference between them. And when you're thinking about it, I think it's very similar tech, I would say, using natural language processing, trying to understand the content, and the way that it understands content is very similar. But the way that they're ranking the content or serving the content is slightly different between Google and AI. I don't know if that answered that.
Nice. Appreciate
Gotcha.
it. And
Thank
also
you.
thank you so much for jumping on. I think I always love the real world interactivity of a webinar. So I appreciate you taking the lead here, and hope others will follow your example.
Great, thank you. Appreciate the answer.
Nice.
Yeah.
And which is actually, this is a perfect segue into, okay, so if people are changing their behavior, if people are changing where they're searching, if there's all these new tools out there, what are actually some of the things that we can influence and do to appear better in them? And so I think I kind of wanted to make the case again why these tools are important in a B2B buying journey. Because I think there's a lot of talk about this, but the kind of like urge, interest, and need for the buyer to self-educate is increasing a lot. I think whilst historically, maybe you had an interest around a certain service or software, you would book a sales meeting. After the sales meeting, you see the proposal, you see the pricing, you see the services, and then you kind of make decision. The need to self-educate on the platforms, the features, the things that you do, the pricing structure is increasing, even when we're talking about enterprise deals. And so again, talking about the kind of like B2B buying journey map that Winter has put out, the reason why I color-coded kind of like the first steps in green is because these are steps that your buyer is taking when they're potentially still unknown to you, right? So they figure out a need or a problem that they're trying to solve, and they start mapping the needs and requirements to solve said problem. And then they often start doing a research. So that means, like we heard, they might use multiple sources. They might use Google, they might use ChatGPT, they might ask their network, they might have worked, with a product or solution in the past. They might have seen it, at the trade show. So they do the research of the option, and then often we'll make a short list of, let's say, 3 to 5 vendors that they say, okay, these are the people that we're going to do the sales meetings and demos with to then make a decision. And in that research process, if you're fortunate and they download a case study or a buying guide, they might become known to you. But otherwise, right, when they become a hand raiser, they will book a meeting, they kind of become known to you, and you have a lot more control over their journey and the things that you do. And so I think that's where also kind of, again, want to drive the point home is that you kind of want to be everywhere in this research and shortlisting and decision-making process. Because when people book a meeting, 91% of all buyers will already be familiar with the brand. Only 88% of people come to a sales meeting with someone that they've barely ever heard of and they're seeing for the first time. And so that kind of like touch point generating, nurturing, creating brand awareness and brand familiarity that's kind of like a big part of the puzzle, where kind of like these tools come into play now. And next. So I think, and also this would be an interesting for the chat. How do you call this thing, the new thing that we're doing, the new SEO? So there's 2 main terms that I'm seeing. One is the geo, kind of like the generative optimization, and then the LLMO, the large language model optimization, which the later one, LLMO, is kind of like, doesn't roll off the tongue all that neatly. So I would kind of be curious to see, when you're talking within your organization, what is actually the language that you're using right now. But the new world of search, the new world of SEO, geo, or however you want to call it, it's still like search always has been a tool both to generate that awareness, but to then also generate that conversion and inform these buyers that are self-educating along the buying journey. And so we had 3 pillars that were pretty useful for SEO, and they're still useful for geo now as well. So one is this idea, which is perfect to the question that we just had, like, how can I actually make sure that these crawlers understand my website? How do I then need to create content today? And then 3, how do I make sure that I get features and mentions to this content? And so we'll dive into that a little bit more next. I think, yeah, Helene, over to you.
Yeah, some technical fun. So here are, I guess, some bits about AI and the technical. How do you prepare yourself? How do you prepare your site for AI? I think it was probably about a year ago, there was a lot of discussion about blocking AI crawlers from your website. There was a lot of people worrying about their intellectual property being taken, copyright laws, and so forth. Well, unfortunately, some of the crawlers first don't respect blocking the crawler. They don't have to. They will crawl. But also, if you block these crawlers, you can exclude your brand and your website from appearing in ChatGPT search, or inside any of these AI models. And I think that's a very, very big mistake that you could be making. I think it's more of a personal thing. I was just like, I am on a webinar with a lot of people. I just almost went on a personal moment of thinking about this. There's definitely, we can talk about that, the copyright and issues with content. But if you want to be found as a company in search, you have to be crawlable. If you want to be found in AI, you have to be crawlable. And so making sure you're not blocking Google bot, making sure you're not blocking ChatGPT's bot, I don't know the name of it, I don't know. And making sure that it's readable, legible. I can talk. A really interesting study by Vercel was done that actually was looking at, can these crawlers understand JavaScript? Can it render it? Can it, what is going on there? We already know, if you're inside search, that we struggle quite a lot with JavaScript websites, how it's rendered, is it going to be indexed? Can Google read the contents of the page? And well, unfortunately, I think it's even worse for AI platforms. Googlebot is probably one of the most sophisticated crawlers out there for understanding your content, and it's able to kind of get by quite a lot with JavaScript to a degree. But we see here that ChatGPT, what is it, 11.5%, Claude 23.8, 4% of requests. They will fetch them, they don't execute them, they can't read it. This is something that actually was kind of news to me. Viola shared this with me, and I was like, okay, did not know that. That's a big thing.
Shout out to Mary Haynes. I think that was in her
Yeah.
newsletter 1 or 2 editions ago, and I was also a bit baffled when I read this, and I was like, perfect. I think this needs to be out in the world, and we need to start talking about this.
Yes. I think it also goes along with my philosophy is optimizing for AI is the same as optimizing for search. Very, very similar principles. So if you're following best practices for SEO, you're probably following best practices for AI visibility. Of course, with some nuances. Considering ungaining and your buying guides, your ebooks, your reports, your other bottom of funnel content. This is very high value, long tail specific content that maybe before wasn't really getting keyword volume, wasn't really getting searched for on Google. But we do see there's a shift in how people are interacting with search. This is especially if they're doing something on ChatGPT, where the queries are much longer, they're more specific, people are really digging into it, it becomes more conversational. Sometimes I even forget that I'm talking to an AI bot and I'm using my manners saying please and thank you. So we do get in there, we get into the thick of it, and having our content that maybe was previously used for lead generation, allowing AI to serve that content to people who are searching for it there could be a new entry point. Definitely something to talk about with your marketing team, but it could be a new entry point for capturing that very specific high intent traffic from AI. And the last point I think I have here for technical, to schema or not to schema. We had a very fun conversation about this recently at Flow, and while I am typically a fan of schema, I think that structured data is a really useful tool in communicating your website to other computers, to other systems, to AI models. If that's not done correctly, you are putting yourself at risk. It's better to not schema than to do bad schema, is what I would say. I would rather you not put schema on your page. Schema, you don't have to have it to be appearing in AI or in search. A lot of people say that you must have it. I firsthand have seen websites that I've launched in the last 2 months, and they're getting traffic from ChatGPT. There's no schema. They're barely even indexed, but they are getting traffic. Once they were indexed, now they're getting traffic from ChatGPT. So I do not think that schema is the end all or to the be all of everything, but I do think if things are maybe spread out, a bit more complicated. For example, with Flow, we use schema to help build us a knowledge panel because some of our content was at the beginning a bit spread across the different platforms on different websites. And if you want to connect that identity and say, hey, all of these bits of me everywhere are in one place, that's when schema, I think, can get very useful when accessing things like rich results. If you want to appear, if you have recipes, if you want to have like the review stars, in that case, I would say, yes, use your schema for search. But in terms of you have to schema to end up in AI, I think that there's a lot of bold claims out there. So want to give you all some peace that you don't have to go into JavaScript.
And I just wrote in the chat is Helene is also saying that, because I think I messed up our org schema on our own website. No, I don't just think so. I know we did. And the author schema that she just talked about, that was Helene's doing. We actually got the knowledge panel. So don't feel bad if you're messing up your schema, but it's something interesting because if you look for a guide on Geo or LLMO, even I think a lot of our own writing, a lot of the early writing was like, yeah, schema, you have to have it. But I think it's a case of correlation, not causation. And like Helene's been saying, before doing it really badly, you'd rather not. You know, if you're doing it really well, it's going to be a value add. But if you're messing it up, you maybe potentially rather not do it.
Yes. 100%. Okay, so how do we think about content now? We have AI, as I talked about before, we're in the zero-click world. Content needs to stand on its own. Those programmatic plays of, I don't know, labor laws in Pennsylvania, labor laws in Maryland, labor laws in Florida, probably not going to be giving you the traffic that it used to. It's still valuable. You're still going to probably appear in AI overview. That's going to build your brand awareness. But if you're thinking about how do I get people on my site, how do I start getting them to interact with my content? How do I, make them potentially be a customer? You got to get them on your site. They can't just interact with you through seeing your name appear in Google. So we want to think what we've seen for our clients, diversification of your content. We still love a good pillar and hub spoke, system and the topical authority through that and creating that high quality content. I definitely recommend focusing in on your product. Pick your favorite feature, your favorite industry, your favorite whatever of your product, your use case. And zero in on that. Just creating content in every single kind of conceivable concept for that topic. Using an single industry can help you spin out 10 to 20 supporting pages. You can have 10 different blog posts about different use cases, problems, concerns, guides, templates, and all these things to help you build that topical awareness so that if there is somebody talking inside, AI overview or ChatGPT, that seeing your brand and your domain come up again and again and again is a verifier. It's like, oh, you're talking about what you know. It makes sense. Your product is aligning with your blog content, with your case studies, with your templates. And so all of this sort of keeps telling these AI systems, yes, this is our thing, this is our thing, this is our thing. And so really locking in on that instead of casting that wide net, which I think a lot of old SEO strategies probably were recommending, let's publish 20 some blog posts a month on every topic conceivable. And now I think having that very narrow, very specific, creating content that really truly aligns with your product is what I'm seeing that's helping SaaS brands stand out inside search results. And so being serious about building your topical authority, not just publishing a few blog posts that maybe you used AI or custom GPT to make, getting subject matter experts involved, get the product managers involved. I've been loving doing this with some of our clients. It really helps to ensure that alignment between your content and your product. So people who come and read your content, they're not expecting your product to do something that it actually doesn't do. And then they're disappointed when it comes time for the sales call, for their trial. And so really making sure you have those expert voices. Some of them are living and breathing this content, these topics. And it really helps and shines through in that content. We do have a few, I think we have 2 examples here. I'll see if they'll work. Oh, this is fast. This was a piece from Enborder. It was future onboarding trends. Kind of sounds very keywordy, but onboarding trends, that's very, very niche. I would say, I think this keyword has like a search volume of 20 or 30, if that. It was actually an idea that came up because they were doing their original research, the state of employee onboarding. And so we wanted to say, well, people aren't going to be Googling the state of onboarding 2024 or something. So how can we capture people who are interested in this topic by coming at it from different angles? And so using their original research, we were able to pull out ideas from that and share some of the trends that are happening inside the space. They've also included some of other research from, industry experts that are respected. And yeah, this is a great piece that was able to rank on page 1 quite quickly by just combining that original research, the original perspective, and yeah, inciting high quality, relevant external links. Oh, I'm trying to go to the next one. Hold on. Just gonna keep playing my video. There we go. And this one is another example from BetterWorks. Yeah, you can talk us through this.
I can quickly talk about this because this is an interesting one. We were having a LinkedIn conversation today with our friend and partner in crime, Mary Ellen, who runs a content marketing agency. And she proposed a hypothesis that it might be helpful to appear in an LLM or AI chatbot answer if you actually have a contrarian view on a topic, or put differently, if you actually have something net new to say to the topic. So I can't prove or disprove this hypothesis yet, but there's something to be said about adding something to the conversation that is net new and hasn't been there before. And so this is also an example of an SEO play where instead of kind of like doing the usual kind of like, what is performance improvement plan, benefits of performance improvement plan, that really doesn't add anything to the conversation that makes you a meaningful source for an AI answer. We took that approach as like why they don't work and what to do instead. And so just kind of wanted to throw that out there is like when we talk about specificity and originality is like, are you adding something new to the conversation? Or a different way also to say that, is that something that you're proud of? Is that something you would share on your personal LinkedIn, et cetera, right? Is it something like that is like generally interesting? And I think that's a good way to kind of start edging towards this kind of like, what is originality? What is specificity? I think that's hard to grasp. And so I think this idea is like, do we have something net new? And am I really proud of that? Would I share that as a way to kind of like start moving towards that?
Yes.
Nice.
Next. Oh, there we go.
So then the next thing we kind of want to talk about is the new world of links and digital PRs, I suppose. And so I like to use MailChimp as an example because I feel like every marketer knows them. Every marketer has probably used them. But the idea is, imagine you're MailChimp and you're in the MailChimp marketing team. You really want to be featured everywhere and anywhere that someone talks about email marketing tools. And they did. So when you talk to search everything and anything, email marketing, best email marketing tool, 17 email marketing tools, email marketing tool on review, on G2, Gartner, trust radius, MailChimp is always there. And so they're so incredibly present that there's an extremely high likelihood they'll make it onto a short list for vendors, at least for someone searching an email marketing tool for the first time. And they're a really good example of this idea is like, you kind of want to be everywhere for your category. Next. And when I say everywhere for your category, there's obviously varying degrees to which you can control this. And so I think this is where it's very interesting with the whole AI search and LLMs, because it matters as much about how you talk about yourself as it matters how other people talk about you and where they talk about you. And so there's many different ways in which you can influence. The top one is kind of like your own website, right? You are the one who's under control of your homepage copy, feature pages. You're also the one who's under control of pruning all that content from 8 years ago when you had completely different positioning, different feature set. The second thing that's under your control, not so much as how the profile looks like, but what's on it is obviously LinkedIn, company page, Crunchbase, YouTube. And then kind of like the level of control kind of like diminishes. On third-party review sites, you're the one who can choose the description, the category, but the user-generated content from the actual reviews is not something that is 100% in your control. And then digital PR, media appearances, these are the sort of things where you like have to have collaborations and partners, and you're dependent on people to write and publish about you. And then kind of like we all know that forums user-generated content can go wild either way. But we also know that tools like Reddit have, forums like Reddit have partnerships with both Google and OpenAI to train their model. So next, the kind of like new world of backlinks, or new worlds, or the transformation I think that we're seeing is that when we talked about classic search, we talked a lot about backlinks, and we meant specifically, we want a backlink from a traffic-rich authority site to our SEO target page, ideally with a great anchor text. This is all good and fair. I mean, this was really the big innovation that Google had, ranking authority based on kind of like how many people reference you. But I think what it's now about is not so much necessarily always link, even though it's helped. It's also like, are you mentioned in the right context and in the right places? Like, do you have proximity to the topic that you want to be appearing for in LLMs and AI search? If you're not appearing in the context of the thing that you want to be appearing for, then the AI tools are just not going to connect the dots. And so one of the things that we're working on is figuring out what are some of the underlying sources and references that these tools use, and are they mentioning you, and how? And so I think next we have an example. Exactly. So here's an example. Why does Onboarder appear for best employee onboarding software in this Google AI overview? That is most likely because this AI overview answer was generated of people managing people at Zapier and Capterra, where they're all featured. Helene, I just noticed I stole your slide. Do you want to add something to that?
No, that's fair. I mean, that is 100% also what I'm seeing in ChatGPT when you're looking at those sources and you look at those links. If you want to determine how it's deciding what's going in that response of what it's recommending, it's usually cited several times. So it's, as I said, it's kind of trying to verify, okay, one person put it on the list, but did two, did three? And so it's pulling those ones that are cited the most. They're the ones that are being pulled in.
Absolutely. And then the next one, worst case, people talking about you in the wrong way. So we had this problem with our client BetterWorks that they rebranded the category from OKR and goal setting software to performance management software already in 2021. But that didn't mean that everyone in the internet did the same. Like they cleaned up their website and their messaging and marketing materials, but that doesn't mean that everyone else in the website stopped talking about them as an OKR tool and referencing to them in that way. So when Google first started playing with the AI overview, that's the screenshot in the top, it actually says Google is a cloud-based human capital management software, which is a category they never were. And then it says it's focused on OKR. And so that then led to us kind of like having to do a cleanup of the underlying sources to essentially give the new product description and messaging, so that then when the underlying sources were updated, the AI answer was also updated and talking about it in the correct way. Okay, looking forward, I think we have 9 minutes, but I think that's probably good. I think we're in the looking forward section.
And we have a great question from Kasim as well, just for you to know. But yeah, let's look forward quickly and then see that we can answer Kasim's question.
Perfect. I'll check it out now.
Okay. Well, this is you. Your slide. Viola?
So yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So the question, one of the questions is, this is like, do I still focus on classic SEO? How long? In which way? What does that mean? So the first thing I want to say is like, I really think the geo or LMO is more of an evolution than a revolution. Like it's kind of like the next, like, right? Search has radically transformed, and so need our practices. But we're not necessarily reinventing the wheel. It's an evolution of the type of things that we do. 2, today, Google is still a major traffic driver. And so I like this. I think Rand Fishkin shared this like 2 days ago. So this is how this got into my universe, is that today, right, still a lot of web page visits per month go to Google. And that's the same that we found with our 20 B2B SaaS, right? 1% of their referral traffic currently comes from AI. So if you're asking me tomorrow, you know, where I'm kind of like my leads and my traffic going to come from, it's probably still Google and Bing. But the thing is kind of like, one, you want to think about kind of like classic search in a different way, which is next, is that for a long, long time, ranking for that one organic blue link is not going to do it. And what's going to help both with your SEO, with the buyer psychology as far as like being memorable, and with your AI optimization, is really this idea like you want to be everywhere. You want to be omnipresent, right? For your category, you want an organic ranking, you want an ad, you want to be in a listicle, you want to be a top ranking on a review site, you want to be mentioned in a press release, you might want to have a product video. And so these things kind of like feed into each other. If we stop thinking about SEO as like ranking this organic blue link, but thinking about SEO as a practice of creating real estate on page 1, then you absolutely should still be doing it. And then the next question, I think, Helene, is over to you, is like, does helping in organic search help, and how?
Well, do organic rankings help? Somewhat. They sort of do. There was this study that Kevin Indig released. It's 19 research studies combined to look at an overlap between AI citations and organic position. And one of his findings, which was really interesting, is that today AI overviews cite more pages in the top 10 ranking positions than when they initially launched, because we also accidentally found the same exact data in our data set that we were comparing from last year to this year. Kind of skipping to what are we excited about. There are tools out there to use to do your AI monitoring, and one of those which helped us with doing our analysis of keywords in their AI overview was ZipTie, so ziptie.dev. Shout out to them for helping us achieve this very ambitious research. But we also were able to kind of confirm that. If you see from the top slide up here, and this is AI overview presence of top 25 sites, and this on the right is organic presence. So we have AI overview on the left, organic on the right. On the top is 2024, and on the bottom is 2025. And so the most important, interesting, I guess, chart for me was comparing this AI overview from 2024 to 2025 to see that this gray chunk, which is places 11 to 25, grew significantly. And so what we're seeing is more diversity in the types of domains being cited inside AI overview. As a little bit of a fun quirk that we found in our data set is that LinkedIn was a huge winner for being cited in AI overview, but they were not showing it inside the organic results, whereas Reddit was very much a big organic winner, but they were not cited in the AI overview. So it was interesting to see that Google did respond to some of that weird stuff being pulled from Reddit into AI overview. And now I'm wondering if Reddit is almost never pulled into AI overview, which would be quite nice to know. Something for us to dig into, I think. Another tool, I'll be quick here, that we are really loving is Peak AI. And from this tool, we can monitor brand visibility, and it's running prompts of AI models. There's ChatGPT, Perplexity, lots of other models. They're also about to release a location-based selection so that we can compare these results, say, in the US versus like Australia. But we are using this now to try to look, how do our clients rank against competitors? And what kind of sources are being used in these responses. And so having this kind of dashboard has made our lives a lot easier. This has been a very manual job that we've been doing. It's the only way that it was possible to even understand how you were appearing in AI. And I'm happy to talk or share anything if anyone is very curious about using any of these tools. We've been using ZipTie for about a year. We've been using Peak for over a month now. And so I do find them quite useful and accurate for measuring your AI overview visibility and for understanding the topics that you're appearing in inside AI. And yeah, that's our recommended reads.
I will add that in the chat here as well, so that people can have a look. As always, we have so much to say, so maybe look out for additional webinars. We are planning on doing more, diving deeper into each of these topics. As you saw, we could have had, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours more. So we're going to do more of these. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thank you, Viola and Helene, for sharing everything. And wherever you are, either have a good evening or a good day. And we hope to see you next time.
Thank you, Batul, so much for setting this up, hosting the session. No one would be here today if it wasn't for Batul. So thank you, Batul. Really appreciate putting this together for all of us. Thank you all that you joined morning, afternoon, evening, took your time with us. It's always fun to hang out. If you have questions, DM us, email us. We'd love to chat about this. We're very excited. We'll send you a real answer, not an AI one. So please feel free to reach out.